All right, you guys, thank you all for being here for the very first Rise online workshop. I am so excited to do this, and I'm excited to do it with my co-host, our host for tonight, who I will introduce in just a moment. But everyone, welcome. Welcome to Rise. We are a brand new nonprofit, and we are excited to be here and share with all of you and learn from all of you as well. And so tonight, for our very first empowerment workshop, we will be talking about building resilience and setting goals through challenges. And that is something that myself and your host for tonight can definitely talk about. So we're happy to be able to share it with all of you. Oh, one more reminder before we get going is that we are recording this workshop and we will be sharing it online later. So if you don't want to be featured, I just want to remind you that you can keep your camera off. At the end, we will have time for questions, and we encourage your questions. So if you don't want to be in the video, that just make sure to have your camera on. And yeah, and other than that, I just want to say I'm really, really proud of all of you for being here and just taking the time for yourself tonight. So I want to introduce myself. I am Carrie Danny, and I am born and raised here in California, graduated from Fresno Pacific. I do have, 26 years. I feel like that makes me sound old. I have 26 years of nonprofit and special education experience, starting very young as a volunteer and then working over a decade in nonprofit and in special education and special needs camp, and so many things that I really loved. I am currently a home educator, and I am homeschooling and unschooling my two children, and I am the vice president and founder of Rise. And next, I want to tell you a little bit about how Rise came to be. And really that does, oh
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, and really that how Rise came to be, I guess, does start with my personal journey. So just a little bit about who I am and why you're listening to me. Um, so we'll go back to 2017. That's when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it very quickly became stage 4. It spread throughout my ribs and hips and spine and skull, and it spread so much that they can't get rid of it. So I have been on chemotherapy since 2018, and that has been a struggle, as you can imagine. Between It's caused so many other issues, between the side effects and the medications, and so a lot of pain, a lot of fatigue, a lot of nerve damage, and a lot of other issues that it caused. And while all of that was happening with my health, and in and out of the emergency room, and really trying to just stop my cancer from spreading, I was also raising my two daughters. When I first got diagnosed, my girls were, one was 7 months and the other one was 2 years old. So they were babies. And then my children were also having a lot of their own really high support needs. Both my children are autistic, and my youngest was nonverbal until age 4. So in between my chemotherapies and my radioactive iodine and all my treatments, I was also doing speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, developmental therapy for my little ones, and just really learning a lot and changing a lot about our life, our house, our parenting, our discipline, even school, with the decision to homeschool them. And that was never something I planned on doing. I thought I would be a career working mom. I loved my career. I loved working with in special education and with special needs kids. Um, but it kind of all weirdly worked out where I needed to go on disability because working was causing so much damage to my body, and I just could not keep up physically while on chemo. So I quit my job and started homeschooling my girls, but that was really the best solution for all of us. I'm really grateful for so much time with them, and they are thriving in homeschool. So it's good, but it's been a lot of learning, a lot of adjusting, and through all of that, as you can imagine, I wasn't happy and cheery. I will openly admit that I was very depressed and very angry for a time. And my anxiety was at an all-time high. I was just struggling with everything. Like I said, I couldn't keep up with work, physically so much pain, the fatigue, my children's needs, and everything suffered. I had to give up a career I loved, my marriage of, you know, close to 20 years ended. It's just been difficult, and I feel like I really reached my lowest low, but I was determined to get out of it. I just didn't know how, honestly. So it's been years of me kind of learning and reaching out for help and learning that there are ways to deal with the anxiety, the depression, the frustration, and really keep myself more positive, keep myself going. And so now I'm at a point where I really want to share my hope, and I want to also just continue connecting with other people to continue learning. And so with the support of our host tonight, who I will introduce shortly, I started a online group, some very similar to what we're doing tonight, but for cancer patients like myself. I started that over 3 years ago on Zoom, and it's grown. There are hundreds of cancer patients all over the world who I connect with, and I have learned so much from, and it's really uplifting, and we get great feedback from them again, that it's just great to have this space to vent and share and connect and learn. And um I realized, you know, that my mental health was really improving. I was doing great, but most people I know, with or without cancer, are still struggling with stress, energy, work, life, family, whatever. And so I realized we really need to be doing what I'm doing with a cancer group for everyone. And so I asked Elisa, because I've known her for such a long time and I have seen her grow and I have seen her overcome impossible things. And so I asked her and a few others to start this nonprofit, and here we are. um, so that's how Rise came to be. I really grew out of the cancer support group, and that group is still going, and I'm doing that group as well, and just excited to be opening it up to the greater public and connecting with more people. So like I was saying, I asked Elisa, I was like, I can't do this without her. I asked Elisa to do this with me because I've known her for such a long time, and again, I've just seen her go through so much with her own personal challenges. She can tell you all about it. I could talk for the next hour about how great she is. So I gotta cut myself off, but I've known her since she was a child, and I have seen her go through a tremendous amount of challenges, and I have seen her never give up and try and change and keep going. And I'm so proud of her. And she's also just an incredible friend to me, and has helped me through so much through my cancer and through everything. She was a volunteer for me. She was an intern for me. Um, like I said, I could go on and on. So without delaying anymore, I would like to introduce your host for this evening, Elisa Ramos. Elisa, take it away.
Hi, it's me. I'm Elisa. I know that I know some of you that are currently here, and so thank you so much for coming and supporting me. For those of you that don't know very much about me, my name is Elisa Ramos. I graduated from Fresno State and I got to study abroad in Australia. I have over 14 years in volunteering for nonprofits, working for nonprofits. That's how I met Carrie. I first was introduced to the nonprofit world because I have a type of muscular dystrophy, and she kept bugging me to go to the kids' camp. And one year she actually convinced me to go. And ever since then, I just fell in love. That's kind of what geared me towards going to school for business and, trying to do everything with an emphasis in nonprofits, and why I work for a nonprofit and why I decided to start a nonprofit with her. Because I found that one, it's my passion to just working with the community is really important to me. And not just sharing my story, but like how Carrie said, helping others share their story is really important because everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has their own traumas. Everybody has their own background things that they're working or struggling through or trying to be resilient through. And that's one of the reasons why we started Rise. And we're hoping to continue to impact more people around the world. And I am the president of Rise and founding board officer. And yeah, that's a little about me. As far as my personal journey, I have a very big family. I am the baby of six, or total of us is six siblings. And I'm the baby. I'm the only one that was, I guess I should say, fortunate, even though I feel like it's slightly unfortunate, to have so many health issues. I was diagnosed with MG, myasthenia gravis, when I was 11, and it was very difficult for me. It was about 8 months of a diagnosis process, because I'm from a small town. They were convinced that it was a mental health issue and were trying to say that I was doing it for attention. And so that was very, very difficult to bounce back from. But eventually I found a doctor that listened and got me on the right track and got me to a neurologist and all of that great stuff. And then eventually propelled me into meeting Carrie. And in this like little left-hand corner, these are some of the people that I volunteered with. These are some of the people that were from camp that have muscular dystrophy. And that really helped shape a lot of the determination and me wanting to adapt in my life. I've shared this with a few people that I'm close to, but one of the reasons why I feel that I fight so much, or I feel like, I have something to prove to myself, is that my first week, because camp is a week, but my first day or two at camp, I just remember, I was like 17 and I was about to go into college. And I was really excited about that. And I was talking to the kids about it and, like, yeah, I'm excited, whatever. And one of them was like, I'll never get to go to college. And like, it set me back. And I asked like questions like, well, what do you mean? Like, you're more than capable. Not realizing that not everybody's muscle disorder is the same. Um, there's over 45, I believe, over 40 at least different types of muscular dystrophy. And unfortunately, not everybody has the same lifespan. Not everybody has the same symptoms. Some of the kids that we work with, don't get to see past 12. Or once they're diagnosed, they're given, 5 to 10 years. Part of having muscular dystrophy is that it slowly degenerates your body and you no longer have the strength or will to be able to go on. And Carrie and I have both, had our fair share of goodbyes with beautiful, beautiful people. But I just remember that conversation is one of the reasons that I propelled myself forward and was just like, you know what, I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm not just doing this, for my family or my grandparents that migrated here. I'm also doing it because my inner child, I was always so upset and I didn't understand why I was the only one that was sick and why I had to go through all of these things. But, at that point, I realized like I'm not just doing it for myself, I'm doing it for all of these kids in here that can't do it or don't realize that they are capable of doing it, for the ones that, do have a better lifespan and have a different diagnosis. And it was important for me to show them that they equally can do it too. In learning to adapt and mourn the loss of, my childhood and what I couldn't do. I, still went to school. I still got my infusions. I spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital. I still get infusions to this day. Um, I actually ended up being diagnosed with lupus and another thing called Sjogren's syndrome. I'm not even sure that's how you pronounce it. But those are all part of my life, and it's part of me learning to adapt and just be resilient in that process. Like I said, I've volunteered, I've tried to find a network like Carrie and other like-minded people, and just making sure that my circle is very strategic in the sense that, they're speaking positively about me and I'm speaking positively about them. And that's a little bit about my personal journey. And yeah. So, what is resilience? Resilience is the strength to face adversity, adapt to challenges, and emerge stronger. As much as people don't like challenges and they don't like going through whatever it is that they're going through, I've just adopted this mindset that challenges are what makes life interesting, right? And then overcoming them is what makes them meaningful. Because I mean, it's cool to have a regular day. I'd love to have a regular day. Unfortunately, I haven't had one of those in a very long time. But I've just learned to embrace those things. Every day something's going to pop up, right? But trying to find the positive in all of it, or trying to figure out how to adapt, um, how can this make me a better person, and how can I come out stronger? That's what resilience is. And I'm sure each and every one of you has a story of resilience. And when they were, overcoming some type of adversity, it doesn't have to be a chronic illness. It could be something as simple as, you had a bad day at work. Someone did something that you didn't agree with, and or said something to you. It could be I fell today. It could be anything, but just how you choose to move forward is really, really important.
Whoops, I was muted. I'm ready. uh, okay, so yeah, we really want to just open up this conversation, especially here in our workshops about mental health, talking about it openly and reducing the stigma, because most people at some point in life do struggle with stress, anxiety, worry, fear, doubt, self-confidence, negative self-talk, so many things, and it's not something really addressed, right? We don't learn in school how to really deal with difficult mental health issues. I wasn't taught it growing up because I don't think anyone in my family knew how to address it or how to do self-care. And it's definitely something I had to learn. And my most, just kind of desperate state, I do remember just being like, I'm not okay. I don't know what I need. I don't know what to do. I just know I need help. And then just started reaching out and joining support groups, doing counseling. At that time, I think I was so tired, so in so much pain, I couldn't even go into an office. I did um, talk therapy over the phone. I would be in bed, I remember. She would wake me up when she called. But there's ways to do it. There's so many different avenues to get help with your mental health. And so, like I said, here, especially, we want to make this a space where we can talk openly about any mental health issues and challenges. But we also really want to talk about the coping strategies for stress, anxiety, anger, etc. Because all of our feelings are valid, but we don't always want to stay there. I know me personally, I was very angry. Elisa will remember every time I would go hang out with her, have dinner with her, get a coffee, anything, I was just raging. I was angry. But I don't feel that way anymore. And I don't want to stay there. So there's just a lot of tools and tips and things that we can be doing. We're going to talk more about these in future sessions. We can't cover it all in an hour, So we hope you'll join us more in the future as well for future sessions. And then also we want to mention mental health resources and hotlines. Again, if you just don't know what to do, if you don't know where to begin, there's ways to reach out. And we also want to talk about the importance of mantras. Just sorry, kiddos interrupting. Classic mom life. Okay. But we want to talk about mantras and positive affirmations. This is something I know is really helpful for me and Elisa as well. So these are some of our personal favorite mantras. But the thing I really want to mention about it is you need to find something that speaks to you. It could be a quote, it could be something that you like, but you paraphrase it, you put it in your own words so that you remember it and it speaks to you. And you really just replay these over and over in your head. You can say them out loud, write them down, think them. Looking in the mirror and saying them to yourself. There's just, you want to do them over and over and over until it really gets in. But I'm just going to read through these because I love them all. I am resilient and can overcome any challenge that comes my way. My potential is limitless. I am capable of achieving great things. I am worthy of love and respect. I choose to be happy. Rest more without guilt. Everything is temporary, and all time is quality time. And I think sometimes the idea of saying a mantra to yourself sounds too simple to really work or be effective, but it is. There are times when I have not wanted to get out of bed for multiple reasons: energy, pain, nerve damage in my feet, just not even wanting to get up and deal with the day to begin with. And I will recall these mantras and keep saying them to myself until, I'm like, okay, yes. It kind of grounds you, kind of brings you back to like, this is my life and I want to live it. I want to keep going. And just gives that motivation that you need. Or maybe again, if your anxiety is high, you have a mantra that brings you down, it calms you down. Again, different mantras for different things. And it's just important that, like I said, you put it in your own words.
And I just want to add that it's important to have positive self-talk. I feel like we're very good at, as humans, being negative with ourselves and just saying like, I'm stupid, or saying things like that out loud, or, I don't think that I can do this, or I can't. I think that it's important that you are saying some type of affirmation or are speaking positively to yourself. Because you have to be your own biggest cheerleader. Not everybody has someone speaking life into them. And so why not speak life into yourself? And I know that some people might think that it's cliche or, it, like Carrie said, too simple. But it's something that I started practicing. I mean, I wish I would have known it sooner as a kid, because I practiced a lot of negative self-talk and was constantly upset and angry at the world. But when I was in college, I learned about mantras and I used to be like, oh, I don't have time. But I just started practicing or like saying them to myself, like as I was walking to class or, after I graduated college, and I'd be like, on the way to work, I would like pull down my mirror in the car and I would just like look at myself and say it. Because sometimes when you stare at yourself in the mirror for a little bit longer than, brushing your teeth, you start to realize things about yourself. Like, maybe you have a little bit of sadness in your eyes, or maybe you haven't been brushing your hair, or maybe you've been letting go of things. But again, like remembering to speak positively about yourself can go an extremely long way. So now I'm going to move into the activity. We did put inside the chat the PDF. And like I said, if you guys don't have something or, don't have a printer to do that right now, I encourage you guys to get a pen and a paper and just maybe start jotting some of those things down. It's split up into different categories: physical, mental, spiritual, and personal. And when you really get into those, physical can be anything like, I want to take more walks, I want to do more yoga, I want to eat healthier. Mental could be, I know that I just recently started seeing a therapist again. If that's something that you guys are interested in, then definitely jot that down. Maybe you want to meditate. Maybe you just want to find someone that you can, talk to and have a safe space with. Spiritual, same thing. Do you want to go to church? Do you, collect crystals? What's your religion? If you want to do those things, write those down. Same thing with personal. I know that I'd like to go back to school, but personal could be different for everyone else. Maybe you want to buy a car, maybe you want to buy a house. Whatever speaks to you, definitely write that down. I know that most people see, or if you haven't been exposed to vision boards, some people will actually go and buy a board at like the Dollar Tree, the foam boards, and then just start cutting things out of magazines and putting things down, or gluing things down that speak to them. Example two, like things to try. I'm coming from a small town that only pretty much had Mexican food to try. And I had no exposure. But once I was in college, I was like, ooh, what's Indian food? Like, what's Vietnamese food? What are these things? Learning how to paint, like, these are all things that are important. And I think that part of being resilient and having something to look forward to is visualizing what you want your life to look like, visualizing what you're working towards, why you're getting up, finding that true why. And so, yeah, I encourage you guys to write some of those things down. Something that I learned is, especially if you're very hard on yourself and you have a little bit of anxiety like me, a little spice, don't necessarily set, like, I know that you learned in school, like set SMART goals. They have to be very specific. I don't do that because I've learned that they don't work for me. I set intentions. So instead of saying I want to lose 10 pounds, I just say I want to eat healthier, because I know that if I don't lose those 10 pounds, then I spiral out. Rather than just setting the intention of I want to be healthier. And if I'm doing something every day, like, cooking a meal, eating more veggies, eating out less, then that counts as a win for me. And so being very, very intentional with what you're writing down, so that way you're not hard on yourself. Um, yeah, and then I left the notes there because I also, my mind goes into a million places, may or may not be ADD, but that's neither here nor there. But if you feel like something that you want to jot down isn't part of those categories, put it in there. And then lastly, I know that Carrie went over a little bit of affirmations and mantras. If something speaks to you, if something comes to your brain, write that down. Or if you have a specific quote, or maybe you just want to write something down later, then that would be a space to put it. I highly encourage you guys, whether you are writing down right now or it's something that you guys are going to do later. I really, really just encourage you guys to keep this, take a picture of it, put it on your phone, keep it in your office, keep it somewhere where you're going to see it daily, maybe even tape it up in the mirror that you look in every day. I used to write sticky notes and have them around my house, which I should probably start doing again. And they were affirmations or just something that was positive about myself, or maybe a intention slash goal that I was working towards to, again, continuously remind myself of what I'm looking towards. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes if you guys want to keep writing. Maybe one of you guys wants to put in the chat something that's an intention that you're setting for this year. One of my intentions for sure is listening more to my body, and getting the help that I need, whether that is going to the doctor or going to physical therapy or going to see a therapist. It's January and I feel like my intentions are intentioning. So I will not force you guys to write in the chat, but if you guys would like to share your stuff, by all means, put them in there. I'd love to celebrate those with you. And so I'm going to move on to the next one. Carrie?
Sorry, I was somebody chatted and I got
Oh,
distracted. I liked it. I'll
and
share it. I'll just announce it. We did an intention was to go to the doctor. It's been a while. That is important, and I think probably a lot more people relate to that than you realize. Because I know yeah, it's actually it's easier
yeah.
to put off than you think. For me, the dentist also. I used to really, really, really avoid the dentist. Um, so yeah, no, that's a great that and that's important. And we know it's important. You know it's important to go to the doctor. But again, just writing it down and thinking of it more like this is a healthy intention, not like, oh, I have to go to the doctor, but I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm important. I'm gonna do this.
And not going into it with fear, right? I think that a lot of times that we either don't do the things that we do is because we're avoiding maybe a specific outcome. But it's important to start chipping away at those things. It's important for you to, again, be able to find those things out, whether it's going to the doctor to just get a regular checkup or you truly feel like there's something wrong. It's important that you bring light to those so that way you can chip away at them and they're no longer at the back of your mind. And again, it allows you to be resilient, it allows you to move forward, it allows you to have a growth mindset. And yeah, it's not at the back of your head anymore. I see Alicia put to read more. I can do the same. I wish.
Mhm.
Um, and setting more time to read, whether that's books, maybe joining a book club would be nice. Spending more outdoor time with yourself. Ooh, I like that.
That's
Being
what I was
grounded. Yeah.
and I didn't even I was like, thinking, "Oh, I want to be more active," which I would like to. But again, I have nerve damage in my feet. I have exhaustion. I don't know how much more active I'm really going to get. So my goal was to just be outdoors more. Even if I'm using my wheelchair more, even if I'm taking it slow, but just to be outdoors.
Yeah.
Is awesome. It
Finding
can help.
different ways. I mean, go and have your coffee. If you're like me and you're addicted to coffee, maybe go make your coffee outside, making sure that you walk outside to go get the mail. Find excuses to go outside. I see Cynthia says releasing fear. That is something that I also struggle with and is on my intentions. And that's why I started practicing mantras again. And just telling myself that everything in life is temporary, right? And it's important to start chipping away at the things that you do feel like you are fearful of, and hopefully and slowly you can overcome those things, but again, I think that it starts with speaking positively to yourself, and allowing yourself to just acknowledge that you can get through them. Thank you, Eric.
We understand. He's a busy guy.
Go to therapy. Tammy, I'm on you with that one. I just started going to therapy after not going for a few years. But I acknowledge that I am not a superwoman and I cannot just deal with all of my problems by myself. And it's nice to be able to speak to other people about that. And so yeah, I encourage you guys to start looking those things up, and we'll have another activity that we can go through, that will hopefully help you guys start finding these resources and building those things to move forward. To enjoy my home and my family more, not just living in it. Being more present, that's important, I think, just in general in life, because it allows you again to be more grateful for the things that you have, and just experience them a little bit better. And yeah, maybe creating more boundaries with yourself or the people around you, and just saying, this is family time is really, really important.
I was gonna jump in with boundaries, but you were there. Yeah, yeah, that hit me like making your home your sanctuary where you are relaxed and safe and comfortable. And if people in your life don't understand, again, that's your space and set your boundaries, figure out what your boundaries are and hold them. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting in. If you think of anything else, keep chatting in. We're gonna keep moving so we can keep it to an hour. So building resilience. Again, much easier said than done, right? But success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And um, that's just so important. Again, I very clearly remember not just knowing that I was struggling, but not even knowing how to make it better. And I think, reaching out for help really is the first step. So we've talked about a lot of great things, going to therapy, but even just being here tonight, just addressing it, just making time for yourself, so important. Um, the thing is, people talk about it like it's like, oh, you need to be resilient if something happens, in case something happens, if when something bad happens, but I life is hard. Bad things happen all the time. Things we can't control, things out, things just happen unexpectedly, even if we plan, even if we prepare. And so building up that resilience is not just important, it's I mean necessary for survival, I think, Um but and there was a point when that is what all I was trying to do was survive. And but that's not enough. That's not enough to just literally be alive. Like, no, we need to find our happiness. We need to find our calm. We need to find the people that make our lives special. We need to figure out how to get through all that stress. And again, we know like in the future, more hard things will happen again, right? Even if you feel like you're doing really well, something might happen unexpectedly. So, cultivating a positive mindset, this is something I had to work so hard on. Especially when you first get diagnosed with cancer or something serious like that, everybody says, stay positive, think positive. And I was like, I want to. I really want to. But how? How? When every time I'm going to the doctor, it's more bad news, more results. I feel awful. Everything seems bad. I'm like, okay, stay positive. What do you mean? I can't just be positive. Um, so cultivating a positive mindset really does take a lot of work, really being honest with yourself about what your challenges are, but also really acknowledging like what is right in your life, what is good in your life, because that's what's going to be what motivates you, right? I mean, for me, my biggest motivation is my children, just knowing that they need me and knowing that I want to spend time with them. And so I need to figure out uh, how to have a little more energy with them, how to have more patience with them, so many things. And so, yeah, cultivating a positive mindset is really, really not about like the toxic positivity, right? It's not about ignoring bad things and just only think positive, just don't think about that, because no, you have to think about the hard things. If you've got whatever it might be, bills, stress, relationship issues, whatever it is, no, the answer isn't, oh, just be positive. No, you've got to address those challenges. You've got to be really real about it, to figure out what's going to motivate you, what's going to push you through, and what is it that you really want. Not what school told you, not what mom and dad told you, but what do you want for yourself, for your family, for your life, for your future, and focus on that. But again, you've got to really address the challenges head on as well. Developing a support system, I think, is so, so, so important. I know for me, I'm very, very fortunate to have people in my life who love me a lot. I have wonderful friends. I have a caring family. They're wild, but they're caring. And but they do not know how to talk to me about living with cancer. None of them have cancer. Elisa mentioned as well, within her huge family, she's the only one that's sick and has had all of these issues since childhood, and her family loves her, but they don't know how it feels. So connecting with the right people that just understand you and and understand what you're saying. And again, like that's where you find those safe spaces to totally vent and relax and be yourself. And again, I hope that Rise is also that space where we are, judgment free. We are not here to shame or guilt or judge or anything like that. We're just here to help each person help themselves to be their best. Um, and there's a lot of ways. I think we have some more examples later about how to develop your support system. But again, it could be online, it could be in person, it can be a lot of different things. Learn to adapt to change. This one's hard. This one's really, really hard. I was a, professional event planner for many years, and I have OCD. I want to plan. I know the plan. I love the plan, and things happen that are totally out of your control. So the ability to keep going with it is critical. We will talk about this a lot more in future sessions, but radical acceptance, really when bad things do happen, really understanding like I can't change this. I cannot fix this. I cannot change this. I have to go through it. I have to deal with it. And um I lost my train of thought. See, Elisa, I told you it would happen. But adapting, the other part of radical acceptance. Got it. The other part of radical acceptance is nope, I don't got it. There was a second point and I don't bear with me. Um I'm gonna move on to the next bullet. I will my point is we're going to talk about radical acceptance. It's a big concept. So again, please, we hope you'll join us for future sessions. But adapting to change, it's just focusing on what you can do. Sorry, you guys. Again, chemo, ADHD. But no, the thing with adapting to change is not just accepting it because maybe you can't change it or maybe you can't fix it. A lot of things just happen. But yeah, the other part of it. And then finding resources, this is critical too. And I think this is really difficult for a lot of people, but depending on again what you're dealing with, there are resources. And we're going to go into it, some examples about them on the next worksheet.
I also just wanted to add that part of building resilience is like how Carrie said, like things happen and you can plan and plan as much as you want. But things are going to happen. And it's super important that you don't see things as failures or see things as why me? But again, it's so, so important that in order to adapt, you have to face those things head on and figure out the things that are going to help you get through them. Whether it's putting off calling the therapy place to see if they take your insurance or calling to make an appointment and actually going or again setting those boundaries with yourself to have family time and say no or whatever it may be. Just reminding yourself that setting those intentions, even if you don't reach them, it's not failure. It's a let's try again, let me adapt, let me see what else I can do, just to make sure that you're still moving in the same direction that you genuinely want to go in. So yeah, we'll move on to the next activity.
Finding resources. So this is broken down with the 4 categories as well, just like for the vision board one that we did. And again, we really encourage you guys to take some time after this meeting to work on these and fill them in some more. But sticking with those same categories, and then we just have some kind of basic suggestions to get you going. But networking and seeking mentorships, I think, has been really important for both Elisa and myself. And I think we've already said it before, but I want to really reiterate that this can really be through volunteering in a lot of ways, because I know at all of my careers that I've had, I only have one supervisor that I would consider a mentor. The rest of them have taught me, what not to do. But you're not always gonna find them just where you are. But volunteering can be a great way because you can volunteer for something that you care about, right? You can volunteer with animals, you can volunteer for the environment, you can whatever it is, but something that you're already passionate about. You're meeting other people you're passionate about that same thing, and people that are working for the good of that same goal. So again, I really do recommend volunteering, and I know for Elisa, it's had just huge impacts on her life as well. And me too. I mean, that's the reason that I worked at MDA, and how I met Elisa was because I had been doing a lot of volunteering before that, and it was like my favorite hobby. I loved to volunteer. Um, but also want to mention scholarships, grants, and nonprofits. There are small business grants that you don't have to pay back if maybe you have a great idea and you want to start something, or there are scholarships even for people who are not enrolled in school. There are nonprofits that do all kinds of things that maybe reimburse things, or do, there is a lot of help out there. And I want to mention that in the future through Rise, we really want to start doing more like one-on-one coaching. So if you are looking for some of these really specific resources, um, we can connect with you more one-on-one to like help you find really, really specific resources. We're not doing the coaching yet. Again, we just started, but that's something that we hope to do in the future. And state and local resources, again, this can be so many things. Again, you're matching it to your goals. So again, is it that you want to um, join, you want to have more social time, so you're looking for a local book club or a craft thing. I mean, there's stuff at the library, there's stuff happening all over. Or is it more you really need assistance, local food drives, local, just so many things. So the key here, I think, is identifying really what you want, what those intentions are for you, and then reaching out. You have got to reach out for help. And online support, again, we talked about, finding the people that you can be really honest with, the people that understand you. Online can be a great way for that. There's a lot of reasons why we can't get together in person, be it distance, transportation, mobility. Personally, I don't want to get dressed. Um, I want to stay in my jammies. But so online can be such a great way, especially in groups like this where we can Zoom, but even just really finding niche groups online um that are for a hobby, or for a diagnosis, or for a mental issue, or for just so many things. But connecting to people that understand you, super, super important. And like Elisa had mentioned, um people that you talk positively about and they're talking positively about you. We've talked a lot about connecting and networking, but I also want to take a moment here to mention that this includes distancing yourself from people who are negative or bringing you down, or whatever it is. And I know, me personally, I've really had to go through that. Again, it comes back to us defining and holding our personal boundaries, right? What is it that you will tolerate? What is it that you will um, allow from other people? And there are friends and even family that I've had to just distance from. Not that I'll never speak to them again, but I've had to put a lot of distance for my own, to protect my own mental energy, to protect, myself, and that's okay. So yeah, deciding really who is in your circle is important, and you don't owe anyone anything, right? If they're not respecting you, if they won't respect your boundaries, then it is okay to put that distance for to protect yourself.
And if you're struggling to find resources, I just want to remind everyone that Google is a very, very powerful tool. So if you're trying to find an excuse as to why you're not going to jot down resources, I know that each and every one of you has a cell phone or has some source of means to the internet, because we're here and we're talking and we're online. And so just, I mean, it could be as simple as, if it's physical, it doesn't have to be something that you find online. It could just be like I have a walking partner and reaching out to someone and putting that on there. It could be finding the nearest gym and writing that down. Is that something that you can afford? Is that something that's near your house? Mental health, it could be, calling someone daily. I know that I talk to my best friend who happens to live in New York. And that usually keeps me pretty sane. It could be again calling that 988 line. I believe that it may be different if you're out of state. But for here in Tulare County, California, it is a 988 hotline, and they'll connect you to various resources, again, depending on what you're going through. Spiritual, again, if it's a church, find your nearest church, whatever speaks to you. Or if you're into crystals and saging and stuff like that, finding the nearest crystal barn or place that has that for you. And just personal goals, like I said, mine's schools. So something that's on my personal goal is I wrote down a list of the schools that I do want to reach out to. Have I filled out their interest form yet? No, but I've set the intention that I should go back to that website and start there. I think that it's important that you don't have to write down all three or write down a million, do what you'd like, but at least starting with one in each category, so that way you have that intention that you're working toward. Lastly, we're going to talk about celebrating successes. As we've discussed, like, part of being resilient is that things happen. So if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, but never the goal. I know that I'm a testament. Carrie's a testament. Growing up, I thought, like, yeah, I'm going to beat MG. I was in my wheelchair for so long. I went to therapy, and I started walking again. And I'm like, great, I'm in a stable place. And then life was like, bam, you have lupus. And so then now I have to work through a whole new set of symptoms, a whole new set of medications. Cool, got that stable. They're like, bam, you got Sjorgen's, got to work through that. And then as of last year, again, I thought I had myself in such a stable place. And I unfortunately was in a really bad accident, ended up getting a brain injury. I had to get my head sewed up. And now I'm dealing with all of those things. But again, just reminding yourself, like, things happen in life. It's not your fault. You have to keep finding a way to move forward. And a lot of those things for me is writing down what my intentions are for the year, writing down what my intentions are for my life, and just reminding myself, why do I get up every day and go to work? Why do I get up every day, just in general? Because some days is really hard physically because of my disabilities. But just reminding myself, like, again, I'm not just doing it for myself, I'm doing it for my babies, my niece. I don't have babies of my own, but I call my nieces and nephews my babies. And just reminding them, like, they are capable of doing anything that they set their mind to, just like each and every one of you are. Whether you've thought that about yourself or someone's never told you that, you absolutely are. And that's why we're having workshops like this, to remind you that you are an amazing person and you are completely capable. It's just a matter of reminding yourself what your goals are, and what it is that you're trying to do, and reminding yourself that, what, success looks completely different for everyone else. Success is defined by you, not by the world, not by society. You decide what success looks like in your life, and that's important for setting intentions, because that is your success. So I just want to recap. Celebrate big and small wins. A small win for me is waking up today. Even though I felt really, really crummy and I had to take a lot of medication to get through my day. I even had to take a migraine med right before I hopped on here. But that's a small win for me, and that's good enough for me to say, hey, I'm proud of myself today. A big win was I showed up to my therapy appointment. And everything in me said not to go because I was too emotional and I didn't want to share my feelings. But I showed up for myself, and I showed up because I was also being respectful of their time. But again, proving you have a lot to prove yourself, and you won't ever prove it to yourself unless you challenge yourself and you allow yourself to be open to those things. And I encourage you guys to write in the chat, what are some of your small wins for today or the past week, past month, year, or a big win. I'd love to celebrate those with you. Like I said, not all of us have, people speaking positively into our lives. I'm definitely the person that will hype you up. And if you need me as your personal hype person, let me know. I'm all for it. But yeah, put those in the chat. I'd love to celebrate those with you guys. Another is embracing the challenges that happen in your life. By setting these meaningful goals, they'll help you build that resilience and create a more fulfilling life and remind you why you're grateful. Even like volunteering could be a huge eye opener. The last workshop that I did with a high school, she had mentioned that she wanted to go to therapy, but she couldn't afford it. But she wanted to specifically go to Happy Trails, is where you go and you essentially like ride horses, and it's a different form of therapy. But I had her do the workshop of like writing down her resource list, and she realized that she can volunteer. So she might not be able to pay for it, but she found a different outlet of being able to be exposed to that. And yeah, so again, embracing challenges and just finding a way to adapt and make them fit you. I encourage you guys to keep your vision boards, like I said, in a space where you can see them, that's reminding you of what you're working towards. Take a picture, put it on your phone, save it to your favorites, maybe put it on your wall. Again, maybe even redoing your vision board to something that suits you. Like I said, some people get actual boards and do collages and stuff like that. If that's what you're into, then, redo it that way. And just reminding you again that each and every one of you has the power to overcome whatever challenge it is that you may be facing. I hope that you guys know that this is a safe space. I encourage you guys to stay up to date with Rise and, subscribe to our stuff. And we'll have our information at the end. If any of you guys feel like you want to reach out, or there's, something that you guys, again, need help. We haven't necessarily started coaching yet. But if there's something that we can do that can help you, propel your life forward and become more resilient, then we're all for it. Yeah, I see some people put in the chat. Completed 1 hour gym class. Congrats, Patty. That's a good one. So congratulations on that. Signing up for this workshop to help myself was a big win for me. I think that's awesome. I congratulate all of you guys for giving yourself an hour and putting that boundary that you're going to put yourself first and figure out a way to just speak life into yourself. And I'm proud of each and every one of you for coming here. So thank you, Diana, for coming. Overcoming chronic depression. I hear you, Cynthia, and I, like I said, and I know Carrie can attest to this too, is depression, especially when you're going through whatever it is that you may be going through, is very, very difficult. But again, finding those resources is so important. Workshops like these, finding like-minded people that are also equally wanting to, get out of that mindset, and also just doing things that make you happy. Something that I learned that made me really happy when I was having the most anxiety or depression was I would color, or I learned to paint. Finding a hobby that's going to get you out of that mindset of, I can't, or, you don't want to deal with whatever the emotions are that you're feeling, but also reminding you, Cynthia, that it's okay to feel your feelings. Your feelings are completely valid. As much as people like to avoid them, I encourage you to cry, throw yourself a pity party, scream, take a ride out into the mountains and just yowl. Whatever it is that you feel like may be good for you, allow yourself to feel those feelings in order to be able to work through those. And small win, finish my work to do. Big win, took a lunch and read instead of working through boundaries. Yay, I love that for you, because I know you said you wanted to read more. So yeah, so being creative too, like you have a lunchtime, so you can read at lunch and eat. So yeah. Anything you'd like to add, Carrie, before we?
I did. I think I had a thought, and then I was just, was no, just I just wanted to mention, yeah, that we're gonna, the future sessions, and that we're gonna, but I think on the last, I can do it on the next slide. Yeah, so this is the end, and look at us. It's right at 7 o'clock as well. We can definitely stick around if anyone does have questions. All of our contact info is on there as well. We do hope that you guys will follow along and join us on future workshops. We will be here every month doing a Zoom workshop and with a new topic. And so next month is self-care one-on-one 101, just really how to get started, what to do, when to do. Again, it's not most people are struggling with self-care, and it is hard with all the obligations that we have and all the things going on. So it's just going to be really self-care 101 to help you all get started um, or improve your self-care. Um, and then, so that's February. And then March is going to be um, an outdoor workshop. We do quarterly. We will be doing an in-person outdoor event in the Fresno area. And all of the events and dates and details will be posted on our socials very soon. So again, we hope, that you're going to follow us, or if you register through Eventbrite, you'll be, on our email list. And yeah, we just really hope to see you next month and for future events. Off the top of my head, I know we have topics coming up that include um, just, stress management. But we have a death doula session. We have a creative writing session. We have 1 month where we're going to really delve deep on anxiety and depression and really specific things to get through that. Um, yeah, just so much to talk about, so much to cover in the future. And I really hope that you guys will join us. Before we wrap up for tonight, does anyone have any questions or any comments? You can chat it in, or you can now would be the time to unmute. Oh, I'm going to read Cynthia's comments and thank you. Oh, it's covering it now. Thank you. You both had me a bit emotional at the beginning. LOL. So glad to have joined. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. Yeah, we promise to always be very open and honest and real here. So, you know, we do. We have a lot of challenges to share, but Elisa and I think really have supported each other through so much, and we're happy to connect with other people and support you guys through what you're going through too. And we're always learning as well. So we hope to have this be even more, um, interactive in our future sessions.
Well, thank you all for coming. If you guys have feedback, feel free to email that to us or chat it to us or whatever it may be. I want to again congratulate all of you guys for getting through an hour of the session and setting aside time for yourself, and figuring out ways to help yourself be more resilient. And I encourage you guys to come to more. And yeah, thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Hope to see you next month.
Thank you for coming, Diana. Hope you have a great night, all of you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Bye. Good night. Have a good one. I know you're in New York. Thank you for coming.